Okay, our featured speaker today is Peter Perro, and I've known Peter for 50 years, probably, if
Right.
more. And Peter's been working. And the first time I saw Peter, he gave a slideshow on the
Labor.
Italians in labor here at the Italian Cultural Center in the Florentine Room. And he's been doing that sort of thing ever since. Peter's been teaching at many levels and at many different institutions, the same kind of material. He's written articles about Italians in labor in Chicago and has a book on Italians and work.
Thanks for the tip. It was a hit.
Okay, Peter, this is your interview to get into
Right.
heaven or whatever, the Italian American heaven.
Yeah. It's good to see you all again. Dominic and I put together the first show, Italians in Chicago, funded by NEH, National Endowment, in 75, I think it was. And it turned into what we have now at Casa Italia.
Yeah.
So we go way back together. But the newest book, the latest book, is really much broader and doesn't directly describe the Italian character, but it's about the industries of Chicagoland then and now. What I've done prior is neighborhoods of Chicago, Mexican community, the Italian community. Now I tackled Chicago industry then and now, and I start with some questions to prick your memory. If you were to name some manufacturing giants in Chicagoland, what would strike up in your mind an industrial giant then or now that Chicago could boast?
Hmm.
If
You want us to answer that?
Yeah, I'm open to comments all the way along.
Stuart Warner. How about Stuart Warner?
Oh, a big one on North Avenue. Yes, it was.
Yep.
Closed in the 70s. Good
Nabisco.
point. Which one?
Nabisco.
Oh, Nabisco. Still there, still operating. That one I focused on because I'm looking for survivors, 100 years, maybe 70 years or greater. There was a lot of fallout in the 80s of a lot of companies that closed. How about with foods? Anything come to mind? Chicago's a big
Campbell
food.
Foods,
Peanut company,
Mars.
Fisher, isn't that an Italian family?
Fisher Nuts, yes, up by O'Hare Airport. Yeah, it is Italian.
What about
Italian
Granella
owned.
Bread Company?
Ganella, thank you.
Ferrara Pan.
Still surviving. Ferrara, I put into, candy. And Chicago was a giant candy manufacturer in the 50s, 60s. In the area of foods, no one mentioned Kraft, but it's been here a long time. So has Morton Salt, born here in Chicagoland.
Martin Arboretum.
Gave its name. Can't eat it, but it's a Morton monument.
Yeah, it's his old estate, I guess.
Yeah, his estate, Cantigny is out there, and yeah.
I don't.
Sure. In candy, in the area of candy, nobody mentioned some obvious ones. Baseball sponsor.
Oh, Wrigley.
Sponsor. Wrigley. And Brock's, but Brock's has been taken over, thank goodness, and still survives through Ferrara. There is a split in the Ferrara family out in New York that still acquires candy companies, and Brock's is one they bought.
There used to be another Mars Candy on
It's
Oak
still-
Park Avenue.
Thriving. Oldest
Yeah.
candy manufacturer is Mars for us. North of Oak Park, that's right. Somebody said it. When we get into retailing, this is where everyone strikes strike some good memories when we go back to places like, want to throw one out?
Marshall
Nope.
Field.
Marshall Field's Christmas, who can forget?
Oh,
Carson's gone, Field's gone.
Montgomery Ward.
Ward started it all, catalog shopping. And then,
Sears Tower.
and their Sears Tower is like Morton to Salt, yeah. Ward's. There was a music company out in Dominic's Way. In Chicago Heights, there was a Hamilton Piano Company I found.
Oh, yeah, Italians worked there. They sanded and finished the wood for the
Casings,
Hmm.
the casings.
the
We
state.
also made Kimball pianos, but they were grand pianos for symphony. And a survivor that I went over during the book research and got some photos from Lyon and Healy.
Yeah.
They still make harps and stringed instruments for
Yeah.
symphony. Still alive.
What
And
about Wurlitzer?
productive.
Is Wurlitzer?
Wurlitzer started in New York State, but we had a
Ah.
Wurlitzer outlet. We did.
We did.
And skilled artisans, some were Italians in that case. Printing. Anyone want to offer in printing and publishing? We had a few.
Donnelly.
Cuneo.
Donnelly, they
Cuneo.
printed the phone books. Cuneo Press, thank you.
That's right.
You don't need phone books anymore.
Really, not many left. McNally still prints the Travel Atlas. So I wanted to put them all in a book. I came up with 123 pictures. I'm not showing them all today, but I do have some outtakes I'd like to show you. If the screen is willing and Jason can help, I think we'll have it. Going back,
Oh,
Oh,
Right back to
stockyards.
the
Yeah.
yes, you got it. To the earliest I can think of, Civil War era, the stockyards. Still, that's then. This is now. Still has a nest of industries. It's called an industrial park now and makes much more than meats. Although there's some specialty meats like Provini meal, veal companies, specialty to restaurants shipped out of the stockyards. So there is still some producers there. Let me go to tractors, something we used to make and still making, but in a different form, in a different place. And this one, you may recall in your grandpa's time, McCormick Reaper made farm implements, reapers, harvesters, and took up acres and acres of
Oh.
land around Western Avenue and Cermak for the Reaper Company, then changed their name at that site to International Harvester.
Ah.
And today still makes tractors and trucks, but way out near in the suburb there. I want to say,
Oh, no.
they're making it by calling it Navistar Corporation.
Oh,
Navistar. Navistar may be taken over by Volkswagen, so we lose
Oh
some
my
of our
gosh.
control in Chicago. Yeah,
trying to,
Lyle, they're out in Lyle.
Yeah, they are in Naperville.
So there's not a building standing left at Western and Cermak except some gas stations, McDonald's and the YMCA.
yeah, Western Avenue was factory to factory, going north and south. It
You're
was
so right.
amazing center for employment.
You're so right, Dominic. It was.
Yeah. Peter, there was some International Harvester in Melrose Park on North Avenue or Lake Street, way
Oh,
west.
Yeah.
Was
I
that-
remember.
Was that just offices?
And Revere was out there, Revere where? Near Melrose, Pots and
Oh, I don't
Pans.
remember that.
But they moved from the Melrose area out to Lyle.
Maybe?
So and still in some jeopardy that Volkswagen will take it all.
Wow.
Wanted to look at some of the artisans and where they come from. If we're speaking of the Italians, as Dominic mentioned, Western Avenue is a producer. So was the area just east of Little Italy, like Hart Schaffner and Marx, the suit company. You could walk from Little Italy or take the streetcar to Hart Schaffner. So I had that picture of a seamster and seamstresses that did lots of work at Hart Schaffner. Got another, if you were a shoemaker,
Oh my.
you'd
Oh,
also be
Florsheim.
able to walk to work. Florsheim, there you go.
First time, right?
Florsheim and Hart Schaffner still exist, but not in Chicago. Up in Des Plaines, there's a Hart Schaffner. And they did their best to convert some of the shoe lines into making masks during the COVID
Really?
crisis at Hart Schaffner and Marx. Well, here's a worker at Florsheim. Here's Florsheim today on Belmont Street North, and it is strictly condominiums in that facility. So
Mm.
Florsheim left us, left Chicago.
Florsheim shoes.
Couldn't hear you on that. Oh,
Shoes. Oh,
Shoes.
your radio flyer.
Radio Flyer, still here, started in the 1930s. Radio Flyer has not gone away. It's still making children's toys. And this is not just the toy. This is about an 8-foot tall wagon on the parking lot at Radio Flyer. And I remember
Where's their factory?
North Chicago, they're up around
On Fullerton, I think.
Grand Avenue.
Yeah,
Grand-
Oh, okay.
Oh, there's a great video on YouTube about the founder of it, whose name is escaping me right now. But check it out. The
Escapes me too.
company hasn't been responsive to me in trying to get them to get interested in Casa Italia, but they did make a nice video for a tribute to the founder.
I can look that up.
I think their name was Passon.
Yes.
Passon.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, that
yeah,
changed the name. Yeah.
Yes. 100 years and still flying.
Time flies.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride.
They get awards every year for being one of the best companies to work for.
Really?
They're popular with their employees too.
And
Really?
in the earlier days, Italians made up a good part of the workforce, almost all of the workforce.
Oh.
Actually, their kids went to St. Giles with my kids, and I went to their house a couple times. They had parties, and they're very nice people. Little, you know,
Mm.
yeah. So
Okay,
they're very.
our contact to get them interested in Casa Italia.
I was hesitant about saying anything, so I thought you might say that. So
Yeah.
Always thinking, Dominic.
Yeah, well, I am going to do a new room here, and we're thinking about featuring higher achievers. The other one was more of a social history thing about the people, and now we're going to choose some heroes, but not current ones, because that'll cause all sorts of backbiting.
Yeah, politics. Mm-hmm.
But I'll be calling you, Lou.
you can call me. You can call me.
Well, two is better than one to go in there and
That's right.
raise some money. But a big winner and still survivor is Motorola. Goes back to World War II and their walkie-talkies and their radios, but now Motorola makes their flip phones and their razor phones, they call them. very fashionable, but this is an ad from the 50s. Here's the Motorola product today.
Mm.
So they do have downtown Michigan Avenue paper offices for headquarters and manufacturing out in Rolling Meadows by O'Hare.
And
Looking at a real survivor, Western Electric. No one mentioned Western Electric, but they were, of course, in Cicero for many, many years. And here's an early teletype machine that they produced 1874 for the railroads.
is that the building that the county took over as the election center?
Mm,
Mm,
I
really?
think so.
it'd make a nice community college there, but Morton's already spoken for at
Okay,
community college, Morton College.
extension phone, oh.
They still have lots of building space out there, unlike Harvester. An extension phone, yeah. Women figured in pretty heavily in their advertisements.
Hmm.
Where's our little, there it is. So Morton Salt goes back again to the 1800s and still with us. Morton Salt, and then when it rains, it pours, is their slogan. They've redone the slogan, the girl, a couple times, has been reanimated for up-to-date presentation on the salt box. But ads I was able to find on many of these products. And I went to,
Wow.
yeah, this is unusual. You may have all seen it. It's a lifelong product. It goes back to the times of the Egyptians, actually, in forming corn, shaping corn into starch, and starch for food, starch for medical purposes. It's Argo.
Oh,
Yeah.
Argo is still surviving after 100 years. And these friezes on the front of the building show Egyptian and Peruvian indigenous shaping the corn into starch. Now you'd find someone like this in the labs at Argo, out near Summit and Argo High School. The plant is still there, still producing. So they're a winner. That's a Chicago winner. Chicago land, I have to say, in many cases, these places have moved to suburbs. So I'd say winners and losers in Chicago land. I took a look at bread and baking, and I came up with Toronto. Still cooking, still baking in Berwyn.
And Ganella, huh?
And Ganella, still baking.
And Milano,
Now, I don't know Milano. I didn't come up with that. Where are they?
they're in Joliet.
Oh, Joliet. You know your products. This is Renato Turano here, celebrating an anniversary of the bakery. They've been there since the late 1950s.
okay.
Yeah,
Now they're tied in with Casa Italia.
they're tied in.
White Castle.
Inspected meat at White Castle, huh?
Yeah, I wanted to look at fast food, not just Whole Foods, but fast foods, and I came up with White Castle from 1929
Really?
and White Castle today. Although I found out they weren't born in Chicago, actually, they were created in Kansas. Kansas
Oh, I thought it was
City.
Ohio. Kansas City, yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Wow.
There was a Prince Castle too.
Right.
Castle?
Yeah.
Was
they-
it connected to Prince Castle?
No.
Oh,
Well, they had burgers. They had little 12-cent burgers.
Yeah, competitor.
Where? I can't-
Ah, okay.
Prince Burger, they said?
Prince
That's a new one.
Castle.
Prince
Prince
Castle.
Castle.
Yeah.
Mainly ice cream. Mainly ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wouldn't be complete without McDonald's. So I was able to find a black and white photo of the original store in Des Plaines, 1956, at the drive-in.
Yep. I remember in high school, that was a new thing, that the hamburger for 15 cents.
Do they have photos at the high school?
Oh,
Resources?
Well, no, when I was in high school at Bloom in
Oh,
Chicago,
yeah,
we went to McDonald's, drove to
Bloom
McDonald's,
Township.
got
Me too.
15-cent hamburgers and, I don't know, 12-cent
Yeah,
French fries.
fries. And now, just 2 years ago in the Fulton Market District, they put up the Hamburger University, took it out of Oak Brook and put it back into Chicago. Yeah. So that's there. The old Oprah Winfrey Studios is what that was there, and they took most of that out and refitted it for Hamburger
Great.
University. So really, I stopped with that. I stopped with McDonald's as a long survivor. You've come up with a couple Italian manufacturers not to be missed, and no one mentioned Del Prado, but they still make statuary for churches at Del Prado.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the Regali, the Prado Regali.
Regali.
We've got a new stained glass window of Bishop Scalabrini that we're trying to get Regali to fix up for us so we could hang it in the Scalabrini Museum.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is, my conclusion is that there's not a big future in industrial manufacturing in Chicago anymore. And the places that survive are mainly service industries. And I found in the suburbs that Leo Burnett, well, they're downtown now, Leo Burnett, the advertising agency, AC Nielsen, Allstate, Nielsen for advertising too, and Polls, and Allstate for insurance. These are the things that are growing. We've even got let's see, was it a Google office here now? And there's various web tech and social media offices that are really taking over, using a lot less space, but pushing out a lot more product. So that's the conclusion I came to. I'm hoping this book in the Arcadia series will catch a national following, because I titled it Chicago, America's Workshop. And I'm hoping that more national readers will grab it or buy it. I know Kathy Catrabone has a couple of books out. What's new on the book sales, Kathy? I know these are hard times to sell books, but yours on Taylor Street was a hit.
Slow, but I also haven't done much to promote, but I'm working on a second Taylor Street book. And so I'm hoping that when I finish that, maybe I can parlay the first one and the second one and increase the sales of the first one.
Right.
So anyway, I'm hoping that's for spring.
Kathy, are you familiar with that Facebook site that focuses on sort of the West Taylor Street area?
Yeah, I've been monitoring that and gotten a lot of story ideas and photo ideas, and I've been taking a lot of notes so I can go back to some of those people and ask if I can use their pictures.
Yeah, I think they have produced quite a few, and at least a good number of them are worthy of reproduction in a book.
Absolutely, yeah, and a lot of pictures I've never seen before. So yeah, so I'm real excited about it.
we are building up quite a nice library of maybe a dozen different Zooms that have some substance to them. And certainly this one has points out a lot of interesting information that could be valuable in the future. Well,
Mhm.
let's go around the horn and ask questions or comments. Jeanette?
You always pick on me, Dominic.
No, you're
Because
my
you're
Some
from-
other, I'm
Oh,
from the
it is.
south side, so I have to mention Sherwin-Williams
Oh,
in
Coleman.
Right.
Pullman. Well, I'm not from Pullman. I'm from Roseland, but Pullman next door. My mom worked at Sherwin-Williams during the World War II when they were making paint for the battleships and whatever. So I heard a lot of stories about what they did there, but they were around for quite a long time. I think they're still in operation, but they're doing other products, I believe. And of course, there's Caterpillar. They're in Aurora, but they've got a big operation there. Sir, and a lot of the American Can was on the south side. My great uncle worked for them for many years, so there were quite a few industries down there. Now San Felipe is still in operation. They're in Elgin. They used to be in Elk Grove Village. They're Fisher nuts, and every time you get a little package of nuts, or you used to on the airplane, it was Fisher from San Felipe's, the holding company.
I got a small
And,
contribution from them
Did you?
for the Loyola project. So it's
Oh, good.
San Filippo nuts all the time.
Mhm.
Well, let's go
Yeah.
on to Julia. Do you have anything to
Yes,
comment or question?
I no mention of Caputo. Is Caputo a young chain? I think it's an old chain.
Harlem,
Caputo, Conte di Savoia, Bari, I use a lot, but I don't know
Mhm.
how old they are
Mhm.
because I've been in Chicago only 25 years. So,
Good
but
question.
this is a,
Canti Savoyas in Kathy
Oh,
Ketchum
Ferrara.
book, I think, and in my other book on
Oh.
Italians.
okay.
Michael's
But,
still thriving there. He's still in business.
but
Mhm.
Okay, that's very good. Yeah. Who's next? Lou, comment, question?
Well, I don't know how you want to go with this one, but you could also mention the organized crime as an industry in the Chicago area.
It's an industry.
It had a lot of
makes sense.
had a lot of Italians associated with it. Some people argue that Calumet City, Illinois, was the model, the Sin City model for Las Vegas. That it was they tried it out in Calumet City, and then eventually they extended. In terms of entertainment industry and illegal industries, you could go that. Maybe there's a whole nother book there. Illegal enterprises. The other thing that I thought about when you were talking, Peter, is that Chicago Heights. I remember Chicago Heights was, and Dominic knows this too. Chicago Heights was known at one time for I think the slogan was the best manufacturing town its size in the country, because it had more manufacturers per population than any other city in the United States. And they used to, the stickers, the vehicle stickers used to have these pictures of the smokestacks with smoke coming out of it, industry smokestacks.
Mhm.
I remember.
The more pollution, the more prosperity.
Well, I remember I went to Jefferson Elementary School, and Weber Costello made chalk, and it made maps, that famous maps and things like that. And I remember as a kid, I think Weber Costello was maybe like 100 feet from Jefferson, and we used to look up at recess and see all the beautiful pink smoke and blue smoke, and didn't realize that we're all being polluted, over the period of time. So, but there was this, as you say, Peter, the whole idea about industries have moved from the manufacturing to the more service economy. I think that's some of the reasons why, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chicago Heights also had inland steel,
Mhm.
and then the railroads. I don't know if you want to talk about railroads, but they are still there, sort of, but doing different things. Okay, Barbara, comment,
Yeah.
question?
Well, my question is, Peter, is your book on the America's Workshop, is it out in print already?
Not out yet. I sent the manuscript this month. I
Okay.
sent the photos, and Arcadia has different divisions that are going to pick it up. This is called Font Hill, a division of Arcadia. We'll see how they treat it. And Dominic has an Arcadia book out. There's so many.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
it's going to make that's a great Christmas gift for many people that I know, is your book. So I look forward to it coming out.
in
By Christmas.
1997 or 1999. I ran into a Arcadia representative at the Illinois State Historical Society group and conference. And I was amazed that they were offering to publish for free and to give royalties for local history. This was a revolutionary idea until then, I think, until they came along. If you wanted to publish something of a local nature, you would have to get a giant subsidy from a printer to do it. And most people didn't even bother. And so historical material was left unpublished. But they figured out a way to put 200 pictures in a book, have a lot of those pictures be pictures of people who had relatives still living and could relate to it. They could create a market, and they have published thousands and thousands of titles since then. And I have, over the years, made quite enough to go out for dinner almost every year.
Yeah, that's about the size of it.
Dominic, you're ready to write an Arcadia about Arcadia.
Oh, yeah.
200 pictures of Arcadia books in an Arcadia book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Barbara, did we finish with your comments?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, who else is there? I'm not seeing
Well-
everybody at once. Uh,
I will, Dominic.
yeah, okay.
Angie. Yes, Peter, congratulations. I found this very, very interesting. I have your book, your other book about the Italians at work, and I really look forward to
Thank you.
seeing this, also this book. Something that we have to keep in mind, these kind of works, these books are so needed, not only in academia, for documentation. And I know that many times scholars in the field of academia don't really look at these because aren't that interested because they're saying that they're not academic studies backing some kind of theory. And I always disagree because all of our ethnic organizations, our communities need these things documented. So again, I congratulate you and I look forward to
Thank
getting
you.
a copy of your book.
Good, and good luck at North Park College, University now.
No, we've been since 1990 something university. Yeah.
Oh, all right. They've grown up. So is Elmhurst, and a lot of little colleges call themselves universities now. Yeah.
That's because Europeans who they'd like to attract to come to study here think of colleges as high school type places.
Right, Liceo. It's like Liceo, and in Mexico too. When they hear college, they'll
Colegio.
say, "Oh, you're going to, the Liceo," and so yeah.
Oh,
So that's the marketing tool of the
Yeah.
It is.
universities. Michael Har, are you interested in saying something for us?
No, I'm enjoying this.
Okay. We have Vita Castellana is out there, but her microphone is off.
Oh, I log in if I can remember during my work day because I'm back in Alaska now. So I've only caught about the
Oh,
last
Alaska,
15,
wow.
20 minutes. Yeah, I was in Indianapolis or outside of Indianapolis with my mom,
Hi, Vita.
Angela.
Hi.
Hi, Vita.
Here, I'll put my video on, but I'm working from home, so I'm very, very casual today.
Sure.
Hi.
You
And
look
yeah,
comfortable?
I only caught about the last 15, 20 minutes. I tend to forget because I get busy at work. But I enjoyed what I heard, and I'm sorry I didn't hear more. I don't have any questions though. Thank
It's
you.
recorded.
Okay. What about Angela? Is Angela out there?
Hi. Hi, how are you?
Oh, my mom is there. Good.
Hi, Vita. Ciao, come stai tutti?
Hi, Mom. You need to remember this.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi,
Let's go on to Terry.
Well, yeah, first, I just want to say, Peter, this is a great, great thing you're doing, and you've been doing these things for many years. I mean, talking about the labor movement and working people, it's such a necessary thing, such a great thing you do. I think it's tremendous. And I could, as far as firms in the Chicago area, I think Ford, General Motors always had a presence here. And my dad actually worked in the B-29 plant. It was a former Buick factory in Chicago during the Second World War. But I think your work is invaluable. You're doing a great, great job, Peter.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay, let's see. Who else is out there? Has a Mary?
Yes, sir. You know, I'm fascinated by your book, Peter. I can't wait to read it. You know, my father came here in 1929 and he could write his name and he could count money, but he went to work at some of the most awful places. He worked at that Cudahy packing company.
Oh, Milwaukee.
Years, and that was like terrible. And then he worked at Queen Anne Candy Company making those chocolate covered cherries. And then finally he got a job at Combustion Engineering. That kept him until he retired at age 70. And he had absolutely no education. You learned on the job. You went there, they hired you, they showed you what you had to do, you did it. I mean, nowadays, just think how different things are nowadays. You could never do that now, right? Never.
Right.
You know,
got to have a degree.
That you have to have all these, you know, I got 1 million college degrees after my name. You have to have all these college degrees. And yet I could never do the things my father did, ever. Teach yourself how to drive a car. Who would ever do that? Never gotten behind the wheel of a car before, just get behind it and figure out how to use it. I mean, unbelievable stuff.
Okay, let's go to Dan. We haven't heard from you at all, Dan.
Well, again, I'm agreeing with what everybody else said about Peter and your work. Congratulations, and look forward to reading the book. My company sells the aluminum clips that go on the ends of sausages and pepperoni. So we sell to all of the major meat packers. So we sell to the awful Patrick Cudahy. I don't know if they're that awful anymore, but the Patrick Cudahy and Armour and Swift and Eckridge. And, you know, there were a lot of these businesses that, of course, had a big presence in Chicago and spread out many other places, more so than being here anymore. But all of those were humongous companies, and all the founders of those companies are, for the most part, at Graceland Cemetery, and a couple of them are at Calvary. I think the Cudahys are at Calvary, but. You know, we sell to all those companies, but those plants are, apart from Armour and St. Charles, most of those plants have shifted out of our little neck of the woods these days. You know, and at least the ones we sell to. So they were big. I think to what you say about there being a little bit less industrial presence here, or less chance of it. I think because a lot of them have moved to places that are a little more economical to operate. And that certainly is the case of the customers my company sells to. I know that much.
Right.
Okay, is there anybody else who, Kathy?
Yeah. Well, first, happy birthday.
Oh,
to
yeah.
Dominic. And
Happy
you've
birthday.
done a lot in your life, and we couldn't, I mean, we would not be where we are without you. And
Thank you.
congratulations to my neighbor, Peter. I love the title of the book. Can't wait to see it. And I have a little story. Some of my aunts and my maternal grandmother worked at Cuneo printing press, and when the spools of the heavy thread that they used to bind the books, when they got kind of low, they would take them home and they would use the string to tie up their bajals.
Okay.
And I didn't know, I have one, but I would have to dig it out. I still
Oh,
have
good
one.
story. That's good story.
My relatives, women relatives worked at Kimball Glass in Chicago Heights, and they brought home this heavy string, and they wove that into hexagonal pieces, and then they put the pieces together to make rugs.
Oh, wow.
So they had throw rugs and rugs to at the entrance, etc. All over the house. We still have some of them that we put our Christmas tree on.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so thank you everyone for participating in this